Hi, this is Linda Welsh from Linda Welsh Realty Group. Thanks for joining me today. I wanted to talk to you agents about what is top of mind for so many of us as a tool to use in our business. And it doesn't really matter what business you're into. If it's in sales, it's probably really on your bucket list to try to figure out how to use AI to increase your business. And to that end, let's just talk about some of the different things that we have found that we can use. So we have to start thinking about this as really our best buddy or our assistant. So AI has the ability to go out and scour all of the information that's out there in order to come up with information and data on whatever you're researching. Now, included in that, and a big one, is really trying to find out who is going to be purchasing or selling a home and how to go after that business. So, number one is to really identify first where you want to sell. What is the neighborhood or the community that you really want to focus on, that you understand, that perhaps you live in, or maybe you don't, but it's one that you really want to focus on. The best way to do that is to really go in and do some research on what homes have sold and whether or not there is a realtor out there who has a good portion of the business. If somebody has more than 20% of the business, one person having more than 20% of the business, it is probably not going to be an easy neighborhood to break into. So I would highly recommend that you look at a different area instead. Now, this would go both for listings and as a buyer's agent. For the most part, we're going to be talking about listings here. So you want to really think about who is likely to sell. There are lots of tools out there. One of them that we've talked about quite a bit is Remine. Remine can help you with that data. I tend to think that looking at people who've lived in a home at least 5 years or more are probably much more likely to sell when all the other things align. Any kind of family events, their family's growing, their kids are going off to college, there's a job change, all of those things can precipitate a move. And when the move happens, those different algorithms are out there to tell you who is likely to move. In our company, we actually have a tool called Make Me Sell or Likely to Sell. So likely to sell is really all of that data that's out there on social media that tells you that they have a life event happening that may precipitate a move. So I'd highly recommend you use that. And then I would identify within that neighborhood which properties to target based on the amount of years they've lived there and those that are most likely to sell. The great thing about that is that if you have 1,000 homes in your neighborhood, you might only be looking at sending out 150 or 200 mailers or cards or regular newsletters to these folks rather than trying to target everybody and having a huge expense. So incorporate AI into your daily work, if you will, and think about it as your best buddy or your assistant. Asking questions like, going to the U-Haul site, tell me where people are moving from, tell me what companies are growing, and look at your Austin Business Journal, in our case, would be a good one. Companies that are moving to town, companies that are moving out of town. That's also a big thing to look at to determine who's going to be moving to another city. And then develop relationships with the other agents that are in those areas because, let's face it, referrals can be a big portion of our business, and developing those relationships are very important to that end. So I would say use AI, identify where your business is coming from, and then look at who is the most likely to sell in order to find those sellers out there. And at the same time, develop those relationships. And also ask for some business from people you've done business with in the past. But AI is a big tool. Please look into it. There's lots of different formats out there. I'm not very well versed in all of them, but I can tell you, you need to get comfortable with using it probably every day. It'll make your life and your business much easier. Again, this is Linda Welsh from Linda Welsh Realty Group, and I'd love to chat with you about your business.